Well, hello, and welcome to Gallifrey's Most Wanted presents the Runcible Report. I'm Ross Aiken, and I am a pre-Hugh Walters Runcible.
And I'm Jeff. I'm the War Runcible.
Bravo, bravo, good one. That's for the win today, for the win. So today we are going to be covering the first series of the Cybermen from Big Finish. And let me give you some basic details. The series was originally recorded and released in 2005. It is written by Nicholas Briggs, woohoo, of course. It is directed by Nicholas Briggs and produced by Jason Haig, Ellery, Nicholas Briggs, and Gary Russell. And I'm assuming that this is the point where Russell is starting to walk back from Big Finish because he's going to go work on Modern Who, and when Nick Briggs becomes the creative producer for the company, which is...
Yeah, I think it was about them, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. He's been doing it for all but like 2 years.
That's crazy.
He is my nerd god. You know, he's my Johnny Depp. But he is amazing and prolific. And I think after listening to this, and we'll get into details, I think when I get to listen to season 2, which I thought I had, and then I went, oh crap, I bought it and I never listened to it. So, which we will be doing because our next episode will be season 2. Because we wanted to do these in 2 separate episodes. But I think this is one of his best pieces of work. As someone who fancied himself an actor. Because there's something about this that I like for the acting. So, but we'll get there. But I'm going to let Jeff go first, when he first heard it and what he thinks of it overall. And then I'll jump in because he is the cyber expert.
Crikey, I'm trying to think when I first heard it now. It was a while ago. And I heard it not far off around the same time I would have heard Sword of Orion as well.
Did you hear those when they were coming out? I mean, I was
just after, because I would get them. Some of them I would get from. We have a store called Forbidden Planet.
Yeah, I've been into the New York one. Yeah, we have one here in New York.
Yeah. My best mate works there, so that was useful.
Yeah, it is. It's good to know the comic shop guy in your town.
But yeah, I think I must have heard this around the same time as I heard Sword of Orion, because I was quite slow catching on to Big Finish at first.
See, I subscribed immediately. I put in a 12-month subscription starting with Sirens at the time, and then I found that you could get them. There's a company here called Who North America. It's in Indiana. Middle of nowhere, Indiana. Literally in the middle of Indiana. And they're a great store. I get a lot of... If I can't get something, like sometimes my comic shop doesn't get the magazines, and if I need to get it, I check see if they've got it, and I'll get it from them. But they weren't imported recently. They have not imported the last 6 months worth of Doctor Who magazine. They haven't exported it to the United States. So I've been buying them from some dude in Australia, and it's costing me like $25. But it's worth it because I have a complete collection.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So, but my comic shop got 6 of them this week. And they still cost $11 over here. It's an expensive magazine, dude. It's expensive in your country for an issue.
I mean, it's
£7-8.
Five or $5.99 for a standard issue, and when they release an issue of Doctor Who magazine in the wrap up and with extras, that's normally £10.
Yeah, my wife went and cleared out my box and got me a big stack of comic books, and I have time to catch up on my comic book reading. But she only got me one of them because they're letting me play catch up. But this is the one with Tom Baker on the cover, and it's wrap bagged, and it's got the wooden turtle, like cut paper.
Oh, I didn't get that one. I missed that one.
Well, Merry Christmas. This is going to end up in the mail to you. Well, you're probably going to get all of them at one point, because any duplicates I get, Vic doesn't believe in having paper stuff anymore. She can get it digitally.
It's a paperless office.
Well, she just is minimalizing. She's minimizing her stuff. Where my guest room is basically 3 walls of nerd, and there's nerds under the bed, and there's nerd in the closet. You know, I've got four
Well,
Sophie Isles things above my door. I've got a Sophie Caldry one above the TV. You know, I've got pictures of, you know, I don't have like my picture with Nick Briggs hung up, but there's some up, and there's some theater stuff up, and I have one wall for baseball.
You've seen the pictures of my living room, so.
Yeah, our living room is kind of a mess because my wife is having to solo take care of a sick old man. But whoa, God, that was a tangent very early. So let's go back. So when that was the fastest tangent. That was the fastest tangent in Gallifrey Most Wanted history, and I don't think it's. End up doing. Oh no! That's the joy. When we get some of the compliments we have received over the years is that we do go on the tangents. It is the conversation itself is more important than the content of the conversation sometimes.
Of course it is. It's part of being a fan, isn't it? It's you go off on these thoughts and trains of thought where it's all Doctor Who or geek related, but it's all about the starting point and the finishing point, and really the journey in between. Mm-hmm. Is all part of the fun, isn't it?
Oh yeah, and I think it also gives, hopefully our audience is getting the thing that is you get to know the three of us as people, because eventually little bits of real life pop in, we kick in, it accidentally. Yeah. It is definitely a snapshot of the pandemic in some ways, because I'm watching so much more Who. Last night, because I woke up after every 4 hours, I've got to wake up, take some medication for my post-surgery regimen. So I put in Terror of the Zygons, and then I watched Planet of Evil back to back. That is, I think this is probably the best season of Doctor Who maybe ever made. That season.
Season 13.
Yeah, it's good, man.
It is good. It is good. It's not my favourite, but it's good.
No, it's not my favourite either.
Quality. Although Terror of the Zygons is my favourite Doctor Who story. So...
It is one I never get sick of seeing.
Yeah, it's brilliant.
Yeah,
it's brilliant. Monsters. I could go off on one about that. So
maybe we will do an episode about the Zygons.
Yeah, why not?
I have somewhere in this house one of those. I don't know who put them out, but there's other audios coming out other than Big Finish.
Okay, yeah.
You know what I'm talking? Like there was a Sophie Aldred and him, the Professor and Dorothy. You know what I mean? But I have the Zygon Hunt.
Oh, right.
Yes. Hey, turn your mic. So let's get back to Jeff when he first listened to it, and what did you think of it? When you first heard it?
You know what? It's always been one that stuck with me. Primarily because I like Cybermen. But this is doing Cybermen the proper way, and not the way sometimes the TV does it, because the TV can't go into the more horror side of what the Cybermen are.
Vic makes that point every time. Vic makes that point is it only works when there's body horror, when it is terrifying that they are going to rip you apart. And I agree with you, because this one, when you get to the one when they're in the camp and the refugees are happily marching off to be dissected.
Yeah.
When I first heard it, it made me stop for a second, pause it, and went, all right, I'm going to go back and I'm going to keep listening. Because I think it was... What I love about this set, for me, is it's a four character piece. It's Hunt, Karen, Liam, and Sarah. Is it Sarah?
Samantha.
And you have the three sides of this triangle of violence. Because it does not, from the get-go, pick a side, except the Cybermen are the worst of the three options. Humans and androids are portrayed as narrow thinking, fighting this war because they fight this war, not because there is a war to fight. Does that make sense? That they are all wrong. All four of these characters, and Hunt becomes, I've never got it if he's a willing puppet, or they partially because he seems to, the actor is putting character into him, even though he's been partially converted. Yeah. So it makes it sound like these are choices he's making, or he has no inhibitions.
There is, now I don't know if it came in season 2, because I've listened to season 1 and season 2 this week.
Yeah, I'm gonna listen to season 2 probably this week.
But there is a flashback scene to the telephone call that Hunt makes.
Yes.
Panic.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's season 1 then. And I think it's quite clear that, he's not a willing participant. Once the conversion takes place,
we have a new Peter Hunt, basically.
Yeah, he's a different man. He's a changed man, and he accepts it once it's been done, but he didn't go into it willingly.
Yeah.
And the reason he accepts it once it's been done is because he has no choice but to accept it.
So his natural personality traits are coming out, but the decision-making process has changed. Because he argues, no, I'm smarter than you. But he has to obey. And that's what the Cybermen want. And that's what I liked about this thing. It is such a character piece. And each episode builds on the story, but tells a different kind of story in each episode. Like when it's the space battle and they've hooked up with the androids and they go to the Telos and it's just floating rubble and we don't know why it's floating rubble. And they meet the robot that used to be, the android that used to be a surgeon.
Yes, with the Brummy accent.
Okay.
He's brilliant.
He's in it as different characters through the next one too. But he's great. It's such a great, because I could see those, I'm watching this big budget movie in my head.
Oh yeah, it's and the scenes on Earth where Liam is starting to realise that Karen has been subverted. He's looking into Paul Hunt's character. He's doing all that. It just reeks of late 60s, early 70s spy and espionage movies.
It did.
The scene where he's on the coastal highway. And they tried to take him out there.
It seemed very Bondish. Day of the Jackal, which is my favorite spy movie.
Yeah.
That's such a good movie.
Yeah. It's got a lot of... It's almost an homage to them.
Very much so. It's very much a Bond movie, which will get me to, because of the music. This music is the best.
Was it Nick Briggs that did the music for this? Because I know he does do music for big films.
Let's look. I've got the book. Hold on. Get the right glasses on. God damn, I'm old. Music, Nick Briggs. All right.
I thought it would be, because it's reminiscent of Space Adventure, which our listeners will know from our opening theme.
Yes.
It has... I think it starts in the same note or key to Space Adventure, but then of course it does its own thing. But it feels like it could almost kick into that at any moment, and it's very discordant. It's almost creepy. Like machine music.
It is, and what gets me about it is that immediately it goes in your head, and the way it affects me, and the way music and film and theater affect me. I want to hear it. I do want to hear it, but I want it to kind of press a button inside my brain that I don't know is being pressed until the scene is into it, and it's like you're audibly forcing the person into the fear, into the joy, into this. And this one is that happens. It's like, who's getting screwed up now? Yeah. You know, when they're converting those people, when Hunt's being converted, where Karen's being converted, it just makes sure that every time you're getting a breast, and then they put it in at the absolute perfect spots, which are the scene breaks. It pretty much comes in during scene breaks, like dun dun, very TV. Does that make sense?
Yes, yeah.
So I just loved it. I love the music. That was my first note on my paper. Music, 3 stars.
I think the entire sound design on it is spectacular, because there's sound effects lifted from The Invasion. There's sound effects lifted from other Cybermen stories. I think there's one specifically of the computer sound that comes from Revenge of the Cybermen. It's very clever in the way that they've utilised sound to be clearly evocative and set in the Doctor Who universe, yet also not a Doctor Who story per se.
Yeah. Oh, yes. It is very much... It's a Trout and Cyberman story. The music is very Troughton, who is, I think they're his villains. You know what I mean? I think of all of them, they work best with him. I mean,
all the other Doctors, apart from Pertwee, had one story with them.
Yeah, they do the Pertwee. They did a Pertwee on audio, which was good, and had him made them. In the new the third Doctor Adventures, which was fun. But it's not ever going to be it, because we never get to see John Pertwee talking to somebody in that helmet. Oh, and I had to on my rewatch, I had to go through Revenge of the Cybermen again. They are the worst Cybermen. They are so bad. The dude puts his hands on his hips, backwards, and struts out of the room. I went, okay, Cha-Cha, what the hell is that?
I love Revenge of the Cybermen.
Yeah,
I love those Cybermen.
But it's like watching a car accident.
Yeah.
It's like, that's a mistake I didn't know you could make. That's good. Let's go on. I watched it with the new special effects that are on the Blu-ray.
Oh, yeah, they're really
Those
nice,
are good,
aren't they?
except that that cyber ship still looks like a sex toy. I went, maybe they'll improve it. No! That one looks like it takes D-batteries. Okay, just...
Yeah, it's...
But this one is very much a Troughton era. And you're talking about that spy movie. Yeah, it would be definitely 60s or 70s. I wouldn't want to say late 70s to mid 80s, because there's some bad thriller films in there.
Yeah, no, it's definitely got that late 60s, early 70s feel to it.
But never going all like cubby super. I like Bond movies, but there are times where it's a little too big.
Yes.
Yeah, I love
something a bit more grounded.
Yeah, I like the Sam Mendes run this recent years, because it's basically just a spy movie with great action sequence. There's one or two where they go, I'm going, you almost hit Roger Moore, but not quite. But it's very much a thriller, and then it's a space opera, and I love and it leaves us on a cliffhanger.
It does leave us on a cliffhanger.
Yeah, and I just thought it was, because so I will be listening to season 2, because I want to see
season 2 is a worthy continuation. I think you will get a lot out of it. It's I don't want to give too many spoilers away, but it pretty much picks up from where we leave off season 1. The cliffhanger, the post-credit sequence in season 1 where we go back to Paul Hunt, and it's 6 months later.
Well, refresh it for the listeners, because I'm blanking.
So, just after the music ends, we go back to Paul Hunt, and it's 6 months later, and the signal wasn't sent from Telos to anywhere else. The cyber planners putting pressure on him. The Earth governments are putting pressure on him, and it kind of just leaves us there with that's the predicament that his character's in. Season 2 pretty much picks up from there. And runs with it. Although it is written by different guys. Written by a guy called James Swallow, season 2.
Yes, I was reading the article in my Big Finish Companion, volume 2, and that, would you do more? And he goes, I would love to, but that, that was in 2009. Second series came out like 3 years later.
Yeah. But, they did really well, because they've got the same cast back, they've got the same tones and feel to it. Season 2 is really, really good. It's more Invasion of the Daleks than Invasion. And you're probably heading in the right direction. It's really good. Really good.
I'm playing some catch up on podcasts. I had 2 episodes of Sirens of Audio, and they're doing a Jack Dorney interview in one of them. I'm in the middle of they interviewed Dominic Glynn.
Oh, yeah.
It was a good interview. They had an interview with Nick, the gentleman who played Syl. And
the Bill Shaban.
Yeah, which was interesting, but I've seen him interview like 4 or 5 times, and it's always the same interview.
It's, he's an interesting guy, though. He's certainly done a lot in his career.
Oh, yeah.
He's been in a lot of, certainly back in sort of like the late 70s, early 80s, he was getting quite prolific.
Yeah, he ran a theater company. It was interesting. It's just, sometimes I don't like listening to actors talk.
Sometimes it's nicer to just leave it to the imagination, isn't it? And let the characters speak.
Yeah.
Doctor Who fans in general have that desire to go deeper. And I think we like to explore not only the characters, but the people behind the characters, the people behind the stories.
that's true with me. It's made me go and look at other works of people. I mean, I found a bootleg of Blake 7 and tried it out because it was Terry Nation. And it, and I had to rediscover it. It took me 20 years to finally get it.
Yeah.
But that's why I got the audio plays. Why I got all those spin-off VHS like Probe and I went out and watched. I would find something that someone was in that one of the lead actors was in and try to watch it. Like I've watched The Sporting Life a couple times. It's a masterpiece. I mean, it is. And Hartnell. And I watched that one someone suggested on about the truck drivers, and he plays the foreman who's like this crooked dispatcher, and it's all about guys doing rough hauling in England, and it's a really gritty, on the waterfront kind of movie, and Bill Hartnell plays the kind of heavy in it, and he's
Well, that's what he was known for, wasn't it? That's why I think he loved being the Doctor quite so much, because it was such a departure for him. It was such a different character that he wasn't being typecast for once.
Yeah.
And he spent a lot of his career being typecast. So I think it made a nice change for him and offered him a different set of challenges, which of course is what an actor wants. They don't want to get comfortable.
But back to our conversation Cybermen, because I've gone in, when I was first becoming a Who fan, I mean, it was right before, like, at the beginning of high school here, so I would have been 13, 14, and then I graduated high school, I was 18. And so I started getting the Doctor Who weeklies, getting the books, and I kind of fixated on the Cybermen. And I have to say this, that all three people on Gallifrey Most Wanted, our favorite monsters are the Cybermen. And we've all come to the show in way different ways.
Oh yeah,
and I started doing homework, so I got the reference books, and then the 25th anniversary, I got David Banks's book. I got the Hanning books. All those reference books.
Yeah, I've got the Cyberman book. I've got about 3 of the Peter Haning books somewhere knocking about, although they're a bit battered and bruised now because I've had them since they came out. But yeah, it's the Cybermen have always been slightly more appealing because of that horrific edge to them. Because of that thought that for the want of the technology, that could be us. We could end up like this because we see people wanting to replace parts of themselves. We see people augmenting themselves. We see people who, if you could access the internet without the use of a phone, but just on your eyelids, on your field of vision, you would do it.
Yeah, willingly. It's like that, very much the speech in Spyfall, Part 2, that Lenny Henry delivers.
Yeah.
Thank you for clicking yes.
Yeah.
You did it so willingly.
And that is the scary thing about the Cybermen is we could, as a species, go down that route of longevity, of freedom from pain, freedom from fear, freedom from loneliness, freedom from the wants of things like addictions and what have you. It's a very tempting route when you look at it like that. The only trouble is, of course, is what you lose. And what you lose is your humanity, your individuality, your sense of you. And that is what this series expresses so very well.
Oh, yeah. And you're stripped of it. That's, would I do it? And what I also liked about this one was the interaction between the androids and the humans, because they're no different. One's a machine, biological, one's technological. Yeah. They have the same emotions, they're identical, but they're fighting a war. Why?
Well, exactly.
Why? Because they're just told you revolted against us. Yeah, you created us, we're a race, and we were your slaves.
Exactly. It's they are a species in of their own right. As soon as they have freedom of thought and freedom of self-determination,
they fight.
Then they're going to fight for freedom. They're going to fight to not be treated as lesser than, because they're clearly not lesser than.
No.
They're more than.
When she's having to arouse Liam Samantha.
Yeah.
And she goes, what, you're not attracted? And he is his racism.
Yes.
But his racism doesn't come from lazy thinking, which is what I think racism comes from. You know?
Yeah.
So you're not challenging your brain. If you're just going, I see me in mirror, that is all I need to see. That's a bad mindset in this world. But it's the one where I've been battling you for so long, I've forgotten why we hate you. And I won't even take a second to rehumanize you as a species because of my hatred. Yes. You have saved my life about 4 times now, and you're still treating and you cannot show her any respect. She has dragged your happy ass out of sinking, swimming. She has saved you. She is keeping you alive because she knows that the two of you, she sees what needs to be done is that humans and androids are going to have to fight this war together.
Exactly.
But he's still a racist. But you don't hate him because you know he's going to get the point. Because they show it as not cartoon bad guy race and wahaha, but it's
ingrained. It's ingrained.
And something we're watching the incident that is going to shatter these preconceptions between these two species.
Yes. Yes. You have to have the two opposing points of view come together in order to get rid of them. So you need your characters to contain those opposing points of view. With Liam, he's seen the worst of the androids. With Samantha, she's seen the worst of humanity. Between the two of them, they can come together and make the best of both.
Yeah. And it's not heavy-handed. I don't think it's ever heavy-handed.
No, it's very deftly done. You said earlier you think it's probably Nick Briggs' best work,
it's
and
one
I think
of them, yeah.
I would have to agree. If it's not his best, it's certainly up there, because it's done with an understanding of not only the Cybermen, but of being a person as well. And it's done with a subtlety. Like you say, it's not heavy-handed. It's not slapping you around the face with it. There are moments where the characters have to give life to what they're feeling and express that verbally, but that's the same as in real life.
Yeah, it is. It's very. So I wanted to bring up. There's a trivia piece. I'm going to go over to this because it goes to the acting. That this was the episode 1 was shot as a play. I mean, recorded in one piece, one sitting. I find that absolutely freaking amazing.
Yeah, because you can't tell. You can't tell.
You cannot tell. I mean, there's edits in there, of course, but they just sat there and read it in a take.
Like because they had a little bit of rehearsal time, like you would with a play.
Yeah.
But then they went in there and they did that, and they knew because of the rehearsal time, they knew which parts to hit, which emotions, which senses of desperation, of urgency.
In theater, you'll do a stage reading. They do stage readings of plays. It's cheaper. And it allows theater companies to go, what do you think of this new play? Should we put it on its feet? You know.
Yeah.
And you always, and I've stage managed and directed some of those, and you do about 3 rehearsals, and you find your ticks. You find your beats. It's beat. But I just can tell, it really amazed me. Really, really amazed me.
Because he says in the extras they had a small audience in the green room who couldn't see them performing, and when they came out after having finished that hour or 70 minutes or whatever it is, they went, well, that was great, but why did you just play as the CD? The only clue they had was that they could hear Nick Briggs' direction. It's amazing. It's amazing. They thought they were listening to a CD.
Oh my god, that's freaking amazing. It's amazing. Well, let's touch on some of these actors because I said before I thought this was an actor's piece, a four-hander, and I want to shout. I just think I'm going to say that give the 5 cast members that I want to give a shout out to. We had Sarah Mowat as Karen. Mark McDonald as Liam, Hannah Smith as Samantha, Barnaby Edwards, and Ian Brookin as Levins. Oh, Barnaby Edwards as Hunt.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. And Ian Brooker played a bunch of parts. He played one in every story, but my favorite is Spaven, when the cranky old, the Dr. McCoy of the Android sect.
Yes. Yeah.
So they were wonderful. It was a great cast. I know Samantha, the woman playing Samantha. I've seen her and stuff. The others, other than Barnaby Edwards, I don't know. Huh?
I'm trying to place Hannah Smith. I know all the rest.
It's the name is dinging in my head. It maybe I'm thinking of somebody else.
This is probably research we should have done before recording.
No, I never think about it because I didn't recognize the others. If someone's like, okay, this one's famous, I'm going to mention it. Or like Vic does that, she'll find the actors. So, but
yes.
But this is also a cast I don't know except for Barnaby Edwards. You know, which is kind of one thing I liked about it. You know, that it was they were.
Oh, she's in Dalek Empire as well. Interestingly.
So there's a guy who plays Liam.
Yes. Yeah.
I think some of the every time I go and look at stuff for what we're doing next, it's another one of the things you've recommended me to listen to that I know is coming up. Like Dalek Empire is probably going to have to come up soon.
Dalek Empire is well worth a listen.
How many series of that was it? 4?
4. It's epic. Yeah, no, I can't find much about Hannah Smith, unfortunately.
She's great.
Apart from on TARDIS Wiki, obviously. So.
Oh, God. Sometimes there's not. I mean, it's just sometimes actors get a gig or two and then end up doing something else. It's a hard knock life. It's a hard knock life, man. It's So let's just kind of go to the overall. I'll start on that one. Overall, I think this is incredibly thing. I think everybody who likes the Cybermen should definitely listen. I think it will jump up to the top of your favorites. Like the last one, the first one we talked about our last episode. Idavros, thank you, God, man. Idavros, when we talked about Idavros, it's kind of like we found the missing puzzle piece in the history of the Daleks. It's a very important one. I think you're seeing one now, not really in the history, but in the stories of Cybermen. Because Cybermen history is just so. I'm not even going to try. There's no reason to even attempt to kind of put it all together. Because everybody since the beginning is just gone, F it, I'm going to do it this way. So now we just have Cybermen happen all the time. It may not be the same Cybermen, but at some point in history and time, some race has taken the wrong choice. And another race becomes a Cyberman.
It's the Peter Capaldi speech at the end of The Doctor Falls, isn't it? Where he's hopping around the forest fighting the Cybermen, and he lists the planets that they've occurred on, or variations of them have occurred on. So the Vord from the Keys of Marinus.
Does he say the Vord?
Protos. He says Marinus. He says Marinus. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Alan Moore, and. I think it was Alan Moore in the comics who did that. If it was not him, it was Grant Morrison.
Yeah.
It was Grant Morrison. I'm a huge Grant Morrison fan. He wrote my favorite Superman comic ever.
I've never read much Superman.
It's one that anybody could read it and you would understand why people his age and my age love Superman, and why my brother's age, who's 10 years older than me. It is a love of the Silver Age. Of that era between 58 and 78. When comic books were still for kids, but had big ideas.
Yes.
Superman fights a giant gorilla. I know it sounds stupid, but it's cool. But he did one. It was with an artist called Frank Quietly, who has his own very unique style, and is very much a love letter than that. And if you like kitschy science fiction, superheroes, and colorful, beautiful primary color. Because it's that bright red, blue, and green. It's wonderful. But it's dark and sinister, but playful and childish all at the same time. Grant Morrison understands it. He goes, I'm going to write for older people, but he's pulling the pure elements out of his childhood and inserting them in. Yeah. He's a Scotsman. He's a cranky piece of crap on the outside, but he's an okay, 12-year-old kid on the inside. Oh, you've got a heart of gold. Why are you hitting me now? So
it's I mean, again, I said this about Idavros last time we spoke as well. This is another one that would lend itself to graphic novel. It's a very visual audio.
oh hell yeah, hell yeah!
You can see
I've
the
got three, and
characters clearly.
I got three artist names in my head right now. Going, yeah. John Ridgway,
Yeah,
who drew, he draws great Cybermen. He created Croton, the Eighth Doctor's companion, visually.
Oh, did he? I love Croton as well. He's ace.
I'm gonna. You know what? I think I'm going to find a Cyberman one, an action figure, and just say it's Croton. Yeah, but see, his is more wheel in space, isn't it? Does Croton look like a wheel in space one?
Hang on, give me 1 second. Give me 1 second. And I'm back. Right, I'm going to show you this. There you go.
Where did you get that? And what is that, a patch?
That's Croton.
Is that a patch or is that a wood cutting?
That's a wood cutting that my little brother did.
Dude, you need that tattoo. Heck, I need that. I wouldn't mind having that tattooed. That is.
But yeah, for those of you who don't have the benefit of the Skype call that me and Ross are on, I would maybe have a look at my Twitter. And what I'll do is I'll tweet a picture of this woodcut that my little brother did of Croton the Cyberman. And I'm sure Ross will retweet that on the Gallifrey's Most Wanted.
Yes, I will. I will probably go up and pull some art on Croton. We did not. Long-time listeners will know that we did some profile things, but me and Vic ran out of time because it was just two of us to make them look like the fact files from the monthlies. We did the companions that they hadn't done. So yeah. I think I need to do a repost of those, reshare those, and maybe find a way to do it again. I'll see if Vic can send me the template. And maybe we'll do villains on this one. Fact files on monsters.
Oh, yeah, that'd be interesting, wouldn't it?
Yeah. I know eventually we will do a companion. I would like to do another companion ratings one. We have not done one in a long time, but add Jeff to it. And add all the companions that are in there.
No, that'd be interesting because I like a lot of the companions that you and Vic don't as much.
It would be if we could get a couple other people. Maybe we'll invite 4 or 5 people, and we'll do it on this as a little. We'll have a little Zoom chat and do real ratings because there are ones that but Ben and Polly were way lower on mine 3 years ago.
Yeah, and these
the animated movies are helping.
Yeah, they're really, because I know they're not exact, and I know the telesnaps show us more of the actual characters' expressions and what have you. But I think just seeing these stories that have been static for so long in motion, it gives you a new appreciation of them, and it makes it a little bit easier to take in. When you spend time sat in, I mean, I watched all the telesnaps years ago.
Yeah, I did the where you sent VHS tapes to somebody and they gave you loose cannon. You send loose cannon a blank, you get it back. I like the Wilderness Year stories that people have to tell because I feel less like a dork. Because there were times where life was not good. Life wasn't 100% great for me in the 90s. I drank a lot. Was a bit of a prick. But there was about the time the 8th Doctor novels came out, I started getting them. So I could go, I've been watching the same Who. And that reburst of that was new Who to me. Rekindled it and kind of latch onto it again.
I drifted away from Doctor Who for a long time. Once the show sort of fizzled out, I kept buying the videos, but by the time we got to just after the TV movie, I was 18, 19, I was drinking, I was going out, I was listening to music, and I had other priorities, and I didn't have the money. I just didn't have the money to keep up with.
Yeah, I could do 2 paperbacks. I didn't buy comics for like 10 years. For me, that's rough.
Yeah.
I would buy.
Yeah.
I would go to comic shops and pick out. There are 2 or 3 comic books that I've always read, and I'd grab them. And I would. But I got my Doctor Who monthlies, and I got the novels, and I read those the Eighth Doctor, Sam, Fitz, Angie, Compassion, that whole faction paradox thing, and I read that. I read every one of them in order, and it is, to me though, it's a. Well, we'll maybe talk about this another one. It is a subset of Eighth Doctor stories. I do not, of all of those companions, the only non-Big Finish TV companions of Paul McGann's I ever really want to see is I want to see Croton and I want to see Fitz.
Yeah, yeah.
Because the others are just, we've seen them all. It's just it. But back to what God, man, I'm the king of tangents today. But
That's the thing, though. I think it's easier to go off on a tangent when you've enjoyed something a lot.
Yeah, I really do enjoy that. I love this one. I love it.
You can only say, I really love this story. I don't really have much to critique about it. The performances were good, the music was good, the atmosphere was good, the writing was good. It's very, very good. There's only so many adjectives you can use before you get boring and the people listening to this get bored of us saying, yeah, it's really good, listen to it. You know? So tangents come along a lot easier.
These conversations, when I look, because do you listen to yourself when you're done? When you've been on one, like, do you go back and listen to the episode?
Is it really egotistical to say, yes, I do?
No.
I do. Because I want to know, one, if I've made a prat of myself. 2, if I really want other people to hear what I've got to say.
I got you.
And 3, I've got to get over the hatred of the sound of my own voice.
Yeah, that's a hard one. I'm editing this stuff, and I go, God, I sound like that? But I do, so whatever. It is what it is. But no, I know what you mean. I have to listen to it, because I edit it.
I spent 10 years working in a call centre and I used to do call monitoring. So I would listen to all of the agents' calls, including my own, and have to mark and score them and listen out.
Yeah, that's what I do for a living. I
hate those bad habits.
But it's annoying. But I will go back. I listen to one. I jump back and listen to one of ours just to continue listening to them, because I would, when Vic was editing, I would maybe listen to him when she released it, or if not, every once a month I would go back and listen to 2 or 3 in a row. What I discover is I will have recorded one with Vic and thought it was a turd. That was boring, that was terrible, I'm going to cut half of it out, it's stupid, and I don't really cut much out. Was that sometimes when I've done one with Vic and I think it's bad, and then I record it, I will text her, that episode was absolutely amazing. Great job. There are certain ones where when I hung up with Vic and put everything away, it's like, God, that's going to be terrible. I didn't feel well. You know, I had a crappy day at work. I've had a fight, blah, blah, blah. But no, absolutely. So I do listen. But as someone who is an actor and whatever and Vic had to learn this, that I give notes. I will give notes. If I hear something down the road, I say, hey, Jeff, we got to fix your sound. You know, anything. If you put something in and I'm going to cut it for some reason and it's big enough, I will probably send you a message. I may cut this. Are you good with it? And Vic would do that when she edited, because she goes, I got to cut that. And I went, I don't care. And she goes, you take time. She goes, you don't ever fight. I said, if I have something to fight for, I'm going to fight for it. But you're my partner in this, and if you're going to give me a note, that's what theater people do. We take notes and we make corrections. So
exactly, it's about feeling out what is going to work for the content that you want to present to the world. There is a part of what I really like about Gallifrey's Most Wanted and what got me into listening to them was the fact that it is a natural conversation between friends. And that's what's always been very enjoyable, is the honesty. But at the same time, you're aware that while it's a conversation between friends, it's a conversation between friends that you're inviting anyone to come and listen to.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the hard part, isn't it?
Well, that's an accident. To be honest, it's not to toot our own horn, but it was accidental. I was very much going to model it, be very kind of. After one, I listened to a Star Trek one. They have it where they do the synopsis and then they talk pros and cons. But they have specific questions they answer at the end because it's they want to see, does it fit that Roddenberry mission statement. But eventually, over the time, it was like Vic stopped cutting out the tangents. I don't think she ever cut them out. Because this is what I found that what I like about our things and why I love these little off-the-shoots things sometimes is because it is two friends have gotten together and watched a Doctor Who and then are discussing it. You know what I mean? So it's that natural conversation. Like if we were sitting, in someone's living room having a drink or a cup of tea watching it and then hanging out for a couple hours. I had a buddy, my buddy Ken came over to visit me when I got home from the hospital the other day. And my wife didn't understand a word we were saying because we were talking about Star Trek Discovery just started again, and we're both huge fans of it. And I think it devolved into some Bruce Campbell stuff. And there's an actor that he refers to as the Swede, and I cannot remember his name, but he was a reoccurring villain on Stargate Atlantis. He was on this. Oh my God. He played in a Western TV Western. He played a guy named Sweet, but he's getting older, and he was in Discovery. The 28th of October, I've been home a couple days from having major surgery, and my buddy Ken's birthday's the next day. So on his birthday, the episode thing, and the first thing I get is I send him wake up and I send him happy birthday, and his response to happy birthday is the Swede was on disco. So, there's nerd conversations, and me and him have those. We used to have them every day before the pandemic. And that's what I want this to be. I want people to join in and go, what are those idiots going to talk about today?
Yeah, exactly. Are they going to stray off topic immensely, or are they going to actually...
Very immensely. So, y'all know, listeners, I am home recovering from surgery for about another 10 days. So it's just been my wife and me medicated, and friends have stopped by to check on me. But it's like I don't have that normal work day where I'm talking to people and getting all that jabber energy out of me. So it's nice to have a conversation with Jeff here and record it and then make you all listen to it too. But let's get back to Cybermen and talk about some upcoming things. So that was Cybermen Season 1. Everybody, it's probably incredibly cheap. It's probably like $3 an episode or something. On Big Finish, I don't know.
Is it 4 parts, isn't it?
It's worth. I'll let Jeff look up a price for you, and I'll keep going.
I'll go on to the Big Finish website now. The Big Finish website is telling me that the complete series, both 1 and 2, is $19.99.
Oh, that's 50% off of a 4-episode box set nowadays.
The episodes. 1, 2, 3, 4, $1.99 each. £1.99.
I think I had to buy this individual. I bought season 1.
What's that? $1.50? Something like that?
Yeah, it's not much.
It'll probably be $1.99 in the States as well because I think they're standardised.
No, they unstandardized us.
Oh, did they?
Yes, about a year ago they couldn't. Our prices, the American prices, were staying stagnant. The profit.
Ooh. Right.
And they just decided they ate it at. People got mad, and it's like, why? They ate profit out of the kindness of their heart. Shut up and shell over the extra 35 cents.
Yeah.
Because it was pennies. It really offended me. It's one of those ones where, nope, I will get kicked off. Because it's like, why are you?
I think people.
You have the money to afford it. You have the extra money to afford this luxury, and you're complaining that they're correcting They're correcting a business error they have made, and a legitimate one. It's crazy, but it's go buy it. Give them your money. They support.
They have bills to pay. They have actors to pay. These actors don't do it out of the kindness of their heart or for the love of Doctor Who.
Actors.
They do it for a job.
It is. But it's worth it. I'd spend a little more when the pandemic first started. My wife said, let's spend extra money at the comic shop. We spent extra money on local businesses just, at that flush. Now we're kind of we're looking at things. And I bought a little more Big Finish. They had a couple really good sales. Filled some holes. I'm hoping
they've really looked after their audience over the last sort of 6 to 8 months.
They are probably, having met Jason and having had a discussion with Jason Hagellery, and Vic got to hang out with him at that con. He's a unique man, but he's a businessman. And he is aggressive. And it can be putting off. I get it. You know what I mean? I understand it. It came on, he loves his fans. He loves the company. He wants his business to succeed. He is go, 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 go to make everybody happy. Yeah. And it works. And Nicholas Briggs, and I think John Dorney and all of them, man, because, I love it when I get a tweet or a like on something, when I compliment one of them on something, and they let them know that, thank you. And I, as an actor, someone was like, years ago, famous John Cusack was in town doing a movie, and I'm a huge John Cusack fan. And a friend of mine goes, hey, I'm in Texas, Wisconsin. Come over. John Cusack and James Spader are having dinner. You can come and say hi to him. It's like, I know how much you love him. I said, no, because I'm act like an ass. Let the man have his dinner. But they go, well, what do you want to tell him? I met Armin Shermerman from Star Trek Deep Space Nine. He played Principal Schneider on Buffy. Wow. He was the sweetest person I've ever met. And all I could say to him is, I'm going to thank you for all the beautiful work I've got to watch of you. And especially the work you did with Rene Auberjonois on Deep Space Nine. Because there's a dynamic between those two actors. And then he goes, oh my God, I miss him so much, So that's it. That's all I want to tell him. And Big Finish is always saying thank you. Every time they create something new, every time they, that they reach out, that they have. I would love to be over there one day for Big Finish Day. Yeah. I watched the entire online one. My wife had no idea what the hell I was watching. Just had YouTube up on the guest room TV. And she goes, what are you watching? Clips of audio plays I already have?
They did that really nice one as well, where they aired a load of stories and episodes on YouTube last year, was it?
Yeah.
For a day, or for a weekend, that was really good.
Yeah, really, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah, I love it.
It's things like that. It's like having a lot of the early stories free on Spotify. There's lots that they do there to get people involved and listening and appreciating what it is that they're doing.
Yeah, I mean, a big thank you to them for this. This is good. This is so good. I cannot say it enough. So everybody go out and give Big Finish some more money. And get both sets of these. If you like the Cybermen, listen to it. Some of these early side productions they've done, I think, have been forgotten. Because they're putting out all this content now. I'm going to probably make sure I get all the... I'm going to probably purchase all the Dalek Empire. Do some pre-work before we will probably do those over time. But go out, rush out and get
I think it's worth it. Because it's, I really enjoyed Dalek Empire, but as we discussed during the Idavros recording, I really like those 60s comics. And Dalek Empire just reminds me of those. It is the Daleks in the universe. And we don't see a doctor. No look at a doctor at all. So it's nice. It's nice to see them doing their own thing.
All right, so... anything Doctor Who-ish to recommend this week? Or no, we don't have to do it every time.
I would recommend, if you can, as we know, Doctor Who is doing the Time Lord Victorious at the moment, and it's this multi-format, multi-spanning event. But Doctor Who magazine has been running a comic strip called Monstrous Beauty.
I've read mine.
So
I got part 2 in the mail yesterday.
Yeah, and there's one more to come before we reach the end of the story. It is fantastic. I say that because it's Christopher Eccleston as the Doctor. But we've got the writings by Scott Gray, We've got John Ross doing the artwork, James Afridi doing the colouring, Robert Langridge doing Langridge doing the lettering, and Peter Ware and Marcus Hernan the editors. It is so good.
Is it? It was.
It's going up in.
I'm a big fan of the monthly range comics. I think I like the Titan comics over here in the States, but only when specifically the people that are doing the Jody. I like them.
Yes.
It's a great creative team. But what I've always liked about the monthly is that you have different people coming out. I love Scott Gray stuff. I'm a Mike Collins fan. John Ridgway. I bought when IDW had the licensing for reprints. I have a giant hardback. It's all the Dave Gibbons Doctor Who in color in one hardback volume.
Lovely.
I
mean, that's when I was really collecting DWM was when he was doing a lot of the artwork. Great days. But yes, Monstrous Beauty has been fantastic. What are
the issue numbers?
So you're looking at issue. I've got it in front of me. Because the cover doesn't have the issue number on it for once.
It's on the spine.
556, issue 556.
And part 57, 2 is actually is in 57. I was hoping there was an insert. It was an insert like that, but it's actually in the magazine.
Yeah, it's in the magazine in the next one, and the third and final part will be in the next issue of Doctor Who magazine.
Yay. I'm looking forward to it. I haven't gotten the novels yet. They haven't been released over here.
I've just picked up the first one, the Steve Cole one.
I like Steve Cole. It's a good Doctor Who book. Always has.
Yeah.
I do have the first. I did loosen. I do have something to recommend. And I just retweeted something while he was looking for the issue. Sophie has done a portrait. Sophie Isles has done an image of the young War Master. It's beautiful, but it's Sophie, so it's always beautiful.
I just want to, because we're both friends of hers, both followers of hers, and I want to send out some congratulations to her for the fundraising draw along that she did last weekend. She smashed her target.
Oh my God, by 1,000%?
Yeah.
Well, good for her.
Well done to you, Sophie. Sophie's lovely. I've actually met Sophie.
I would love to.
Wrestle together.
I followed them. One reason I decided to go, that I was going to go to Galley this year, but it's not going to happen but I'll go next year. Was watching her and TARDIS Monkeys and that group of friends. Kind of like, you know what I mean? I got to watch their Galley experience because they went in that group of about 8 or 9 people, and it was absolutely beautiful. It was absolutely energetic, and it made me go, I got to go there. That looks like that's where I've got to go. It's my mecca. All right, so what I want to recommend is from Big Finish, Time Lords Victorious Short Trips, where Sophie wrote a Delgado Master story called The Master Thief, and Simon Gurrier wrote an Anthony Ainley one called Lesser Evils. And John Colshaw is the reader, and he does a wonderful Delgado and an absolutely haunting Anthony Ainley. Absolutely, because it is not monotone, but that soulless evil that Ainley would do. That just undercurrent. It's absolutely wonderful. Sophie's story, and I love both of them, but Sophie, I really like. I've liked Sophie's Big Finish stuff a great deal. So this is great.
She's very talented.
She is an incredibly talented person, and just support her. Go get this. This is worth it. The short strips are actually just worth it because you get a nice short story. I'm playing catch up on monthly range, and the bonus features you get an extra, an unpublished short trips, and I kind of like that 40-minute one-hander or two-hander. But that is actually wonderful. I'm gonna probably this weekend listen to all the Time Lord Victorious and War Master or Time War stuff, because I'm playing catch up, but I'd always jump to 8th Doctor, always jump to the War Master, always jump to Gallifrey, anything involving the Time War because it's so in my head these days. But it's also, it's there's a lot of good stuff coming from Big Finish. I appreciate it because we're going to get Daleks at Christmas, and then we're going to probably have to wait another year or 10 months before we see anything else.
Yeah, I think COVID-19 and lockdown is going to have a knock-on effect to when we get the next series of Doctor Who, and delay it maybe by six to 8 months. But it is what it is. We know this. It's the world we're living in at the moment. We're lucky to have a Christmas episode, which not many TV shows are going to have in the can.
They were lucky they had already filmed it, weren't they?
Yeah, exactly.
Good management. So that is it for this week. The next episode on this network will be the mothership, Gallifrey's Most Wanted, and it will be the Censorites. And the lovely Jeff will be with us, as it is a William Hartnell story. Which will probably become a regular feature now that he has been formally sentenced to the FAM. That when we do a Cyberman or a First Doctor, he will jump in and help us. I know I definitely you will be on the next two because me and Vic have both said which is so many weeks around, but when we do the Reign of Terror, we'd like you on it because we're going to discuss the first year of Doctor Who.
Fantastic.
And then we're going to do Cybermen Season 2 after that. Yeah. And then after that, we will be doing Tomb of Cybermen. So, Jeff, you're on this for the next, 6 straight episodes, which is good for you.
I'm sorry, everyone. Sorry.
No. We are so happy to have you be part of this. And people should hear your thoughts, because you've got good thoughts on Doctor Who. They're much more entertaining and insightful than mine. So, we are glad to be sharing them. And we're glad to be that you guys are listening to us. So remember, follow us you can find us on Facebook. We have a Facebook page called Gallifrey's Most Wanted. We are also on Twitter hold on. Yes, I still don't know it, and I never will. I'm saving my list.
Isn't it Gallifrey's MW Pod? Let me check. I think because, Gallifrey's MW Pod, at Gallifrey's MW Pod.
Again, Jeff has to save my butt because I don't know the Twitter address to my own podcast.
But I tweet you more than you tweet yourself. So
unless I accidentally say something on my Twitter feed and go, crap, I thought it was on Gallifrey. I will then share it to my feed.
I'm just admiring your cover picture on the page. Actually, it's very good. I wonder who did that.
Mm-hmm. Of course I do. It will get changed. I'm going to look for some ballerina bees. I'm going to try to find one of somebody in a bee suit for next week.
I love a Menoptera.
I do too. Maybe I'll just put John Belushi in the bee costume singing as Joe Cocker. Which is one of my favorite Saturday Night Live bits ever. It's like, why is he doing Joe Cocker in a bee suit?
Why not?
So, if you please do follow us, and that is at Gallifrey's MW Pod. And until next time, we look forward to seeing you anywhere in space and time.